All right, people, good afternoon. We've got ourselves a Seattle Seahawk and San Francisco 49er injury report. We don't have the practice participation yet, but that obviously doesn't really matter that much when you already have game designations, so we'll just focus on this. If we learn anything particularly notable from the practice report later, maybe I'll make another video, but for now, let's just take a look at these game designations. It's pretty simple, and it's pretty to the point. Curtis Crabtree has the designations here. We have 3 Seahawks that are out. 3 Seahawks are out. We have Uchenna Nwosu, which we pretty much knew. I don't think him playing was very realistic in this game. We have Derek Young, which, after what happened yesterday, I think was you kind of saw it coming because it's a hamstring, and Derek Young has been dealing with this hamstring for forever, it feels like, and the fact that it flared up yesterday, that was kind of an indication he wasn't going to be able to go. And then Jake Bobo is out with the concussion, which I'm a little bit surprised, but I'm also kind of not, because that's a guy you should be able to afford to let go for an extra week, and you obviously want to play it safe for the concussion. But the concussion was more than 2 weeks ago, so thought maybe we'd be good by now, but nothing here is particularly alarming. That's your number 4 and your number 5 receiver, though. So 2 of your 6 receivers are down. You're leaning on Cody White, who, by the way, may not be 100%, but he didn't have a game designation, so at least we know he's going to play. And you're probably looking at promoting somebody for this game, like a Ricky White. Ricky White might be promoted for this game. And I don't think it'll be too big of a deal, but it might affect special teams. So that's the things to watch. And that's it. There was no designation for Bradford, so Bradford is fine, and that was kind of an important one. I did not want to have to get this game going without Bradford. As weird as it sounds, we kind of need him, because without him, the offensive line gets scrambled in a way that I think is fairly uncomfortable. And I think it's actually a big deal that he's good to go. No designation for Woolen, which doesn't surprise me, so Woolen is fine. Woolen is going to be able to play, and I think that we are good on that front. And nothing on Tyrese Knight, nothing on anybody else. There was nobody else really listed on the injury report this week, so it's not surprising that things are quiet, but pretty good, right? You couldn't have asked for too much more. Doesn't mean some of the players are at 100%, but this is what you're hoping for. Now, there were a couple other qualifiers from McDonald in his press conference. John Boyle has this quote from McDonald about Nwosu. He's ahead of schedule in his comeback. He just needs a little more time. So it sounds like he'll be back sooner rather than later. He didn't give a timetable, but he does indicate that Nwosu is close. And the hope is that Bobo and Young can make it back next week. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-term thing for either of those 2 guys. Should be good. Should be fine. Not too concerned about any of that. So that's good. It seems like the 3 guys we're missing are going to be back pretty soon. There was also one thing that was said about Tyrese Knight. Dugar has it here. Tyrese Knight may be under a snap count this first game because he did miss the whole preseason. Maybe he ends up getting held out a little bit, which we'll see if that ends up affecting things, because that's an area of the team where we're pretty thin. And it's also going to be interesting to see what we do. Is it Drake Thomas or is it Nick Emenwari that would take his place? So that's something that we're going to visit on Snap Count Monday, of course, the next day. That's one of the big reasons why we do that. We actually see how much that stuff takes, is affected. Before I go any further, I want to tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. If you're not using Sleeper this year, you are missing out. Look at all the great stuff you can get up to over there. Look at all the great picks you can make. Let's make some picks for this weekend. My entry is Jahmyr Gibbs with an anytime touchdown. I think that Green Bay run defense is going to get hurt a little bit by losing Kenny Clark. I've got Malik Neighbors. I got that one on sale. He only has to get to 64 receiving yards. He could do that in one play in that Giants-Washington game that I think will be pretty high scoring. I've also got Brock Bowers over 63.5 receiving yards. Who else is Gino going to throw the ball to? And Bucky Irving with an anytime touchdown. I think that Tampa Bay Atlanta game is going to be pretty high scoring. I say he gets in the end zone. So go check out Sleeper, use promo code SBN, and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, that is about it for the Seahawks side of things. Relatively peaceful. Couldn't have asked for too much more. The Tyrese Knight thing is big. Having him is big. And in its own weird way, having Anthony Bradford is pretty big. Now, we just a couple minutes ago got the 49ers side of the story, and their situation is pretty favorable as well. Given where they were about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, they are feeling pretty good. Matt Mauko, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I apologize for that. He's got the tweet, and you can see their practice report is pretty darn short as well. Jordan Watkins is doubtful with his ankle injury. Jordan James doubtful with the finger injury. So those two guys, they're probably not playing. And Watkins, that's kind of a big deal. They would probably want Watkins out there because they don't have Ayuk. And they've got injuries to guys like Jacob Cowing. They've got Demarcus Robinson suspended. Normally Watkins wouldn't matter, but matters a little bit when they're as thin at receiver as they are. Remember, their number 3 receiver for this game is probably going to be Scantling. That's how deep they've had to dig to put together a depth chart for this game. And Jordan James, I don't think he would have factored in very much into a game like this, but with the McCaffrey situation, Jordan James becomes a little bit more of a compelling figure. Now, the Niners, they have a guy like Isaac Guerendo ahead of James, so that's probably the running back you're leaning on more to replace McCaffrey or lighten the load on McCaffrey, but Jordan James maybe would have been part of the plan if he wasn't probably missing this game. And again, generally speaking, in NFL parlance, doubtful is out. If you're doubtful, you're not playing. So I don't expect him to play. And questionable, they got one questionable, but it's a big one. And this was the one that everyone was on pins and needles about. Christian McCaffrey with the calf injury. So it's not a clean getaway for him. It was not just a one-day thing. A lot of people were watching the Niners practice today. He looked pretty limited. Looked like he was having some issues. He's less than 100%. I'll put it to you that way. He's less than 100%. And there's reason to believe that he will not be himself and he won't be able to carry the normal full workload. And McCaffrey, if there's one thing that he's done his whole career, he carries a full workload. So we will monitor things going forward, but it did get a little bit muddy here at the last minute for the Niners. All right, that's your injury report on both sides. Let me know what you think. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Football tonight. Going live on Twitch in a few minutes, by the way, so if you want to jump over there and watch me play Pikmin, do that, and see you guys later.